Hello and welcome to another episode of Invisible Walls. Marcus Beer is feeling poorly right now, which you'll be able to see in his intro to his PAX episode airing tomorrow. But I am joined by Michael Damiani.
Hey, everyone.
And Jeremy Hoffman.
Hello, hello.
Where's the Google Glass?
If I would have known we were going to talk Xbox and the Google Glass today,
Yeah.
I would have brought it.
How are people going to identify you?
I'm filling in for Marcus today, so.
Yeah, these guys went to PAX. They were the fortunate few who got to travel to the northwestern corridor of the United States and
The Emerald City.
and partake. Yeah, I always think that's weird when people reference Seattle as that. But first, let's talk Xbox. With minimal fanfare, has delivered a release date within 7 days of the PlayStation at November 22nd for the Xbox One.
In select territories.
Yes, the
13
only territories that matter.
13 territories, was it?
Xenophobic
right?
statements. Yeah, I know there like a lot of the UK is being denied. Like even some of the, I think a lot of the Scandinavian countries and whatnot. I think it's just the bigger markets in general. I did a daily question on this. I'm just curious though from you guys, like any thoughts on this? Like, do you think them launching a little after PlayStation matters? Do you think them launching this late in the year matters?
I mean, I think we all knew they were going to launch. Everyone was going to launch before Black Friday. Anything up to the week before Black Friday was acceptable. So at this point, I'm not as shocked. I thought they would have done it a tiny bit earlier. Thought they would have maybe tried to get out early with Call of Duty.
I know you're annoyed by these Friday launches.
Yeah, it's not that I'm annoyed. It's just like, we had some
baseball.
friendly bets going on around the office and with friends on launch dates, and we were all focusing on Tuesdays, and then all of a sudden Fridays start getting thrown out.
I thought
Madness just messes with the whole plan.
I don't know if anyone would admit to it now, but I think for a period of time we were fairly convinced like PlayStation was going to be October.
Yeah.
With those rumors and everything.
Yeah.
I think everyone was feeling it. Like, we actually juggled the schedule even a little bit to reflect that at one point.
Well, the nice thing about Friday launches is I only have to call in sick one day the week that the consoles come out.
Well, I'm
so
sure
I'm
they're
at home on Friday and then all weekend play.
Jeremy went in 2000. Where were you? November 23rd, 2005. What desert was that?
No, I wasn't in the desert. So
you're
back
right, you
then,
weren't at the
Ryan
desert.
and I were working for G4
Media LLC.
We were doing a bunch of different shows, and we all came together to work on the Xbox 360 launch. Some people were in the desert, some people were in Seattle.
Where
some
was
people,
that desert though? Do you
I
remember?
don't know. I was stuck in the rain holding a umbrella for 3 hours straight for Kristen Holt to make sure she didn't get wet.
American
'Cause it
Idol's
was
Kristen Holt.
pouring outside.
She's
And
a
we
new
were
listener.
doing the live launch out of New York, and it was ridiculous. So I'm assuming, there's going to be some big launch events. We got both of those guys out a week behind each other. It's going to be a crazy November.
I mean, but like with all the vast majority of pre-orders sold out, it's not like anyone's going to be like, well, the PlayStation's coming out earlier. I guess I'll choose that. So I guess it doesn't matter too much, does it?
Yeah, I think that week difference doesn't really matter that much. I think it was only going to be a problem if they were maybe like a month or more out difference between each other. That 1 week, I don't think many gamers' minds is going to matter.
I think it's going to be interesting to see a real console launch happening with the internet as powerful as it is in terms of online sales. Like, I'm not going out anywhere at midnight. I mean, unless we're working, which I assume we'll be
going to City
working.
Walk?
But no, mine's guaranteed. I have both of them with Amazon release date delivery. So there's no real rush to go to these crazy events. I don't know.
Not to talk like I know what I'm talking about with economics, but I am curious. With Thanksgiving is so freaking late this year, and you kind of consider the hardcore sales season being Black Friday till Christmas Eve, and it's going to be like almost the shortest possible shopping season. I'm curious if that's, not just for video games, but I'm curious if that is going to affect things, or if people are going to try to actually buy things ahead of time, and if there will be any units anywhere on Black Friday. Do you think stores are going to hold a couple?
I think they'll get, because what they're going to do is, if you've worked retail before, they'll have
retail.
two. They'll have them for cheap with, not cheap, maybe they'll be bundled with 6 games and an extra controller. And it's for the first person in line. And those are going to be the people that are camping out, for 3 days to get their kid a console on Black Friday, and they're going to punch people in the face.
Yeah, they give them the tickets now, so you don't even have to wait in line. Just come back at a certain...
Some places do, some don't. But I'm talking like, Walmart,
Oh,
Target, yeah, GameStop, I think that's a little bit different. But I'm talking about those big retailers where people get punchy.
Oh yeah.
Literally
Yes.
punchy.
And finally, the Xbox, it got a speed increase. Xbox One, a 10% speed increase. That's cool. That's probably going to matter down the line.
CPU and GPU updates
GPU is
this week or this
6%.
month. So
Yeah, and I mean, you always go back to the day where I think Gears of War convinced Microsoft to put more RAM into the original
yeah, I
360.
think it was like I think the story is like Tim Sweeney flew out to
So-
headquarters and was like, well, here's what it is in option 1, here's option 2.
So these do have like lasting ramifications.
Well, as games are getting closer to launch, you're getting to the point where we're talking about stuff like Dead Rising looking like it's not running that well. This extra 10% increase should be helpful.
locking it at 30 frames, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I want to see those comparison videos. This was it before. Here is it running at 10% faster.
Well, one of the things I was doing in some research is, Microsoft, of course, the PR spin is no more red rings of death. But they're actually giving explanations where they're saying that PCs have had this for a while, but it can actually measure core temperature and it can actually reduce power. But my question is, if you're running a game and it's trying to get all the CPU clock cycles and GPU clock cycles and it's afraid it's going to overheat, and then it kind of reduces, laptops have been doing this for a long time, reduces thing. Are you going to see like a hit in the frame rate department? I mean, it's better than getting, unseating your graphics card, but it is weird as things get more and more complicated.
Overheated devices.
Well, Jess did
Once
the
or
blanket
twice.
trick, didn't she?
Yeah,
back in
I
the
mean,
day?
I've done the blanket trick.
Did it work for you?
Yep, for a couple
So
weeks.
weird.
But I mean, I've overheated my iPhone a couple times, where it's had to power down because it's so hot.
But it came back to life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had that happen. That's interesting.
So it's wondering, they'll just give you a warning. It auto powers down. Who knows? And saves your system.
Well, and then with the save state, the being able to save where you're at, that could be a quasi happy medium.
Yeah.
And finally, very little fanfare with announcing the release date. I know you had your theories. This will kind of move us into PAX, but they were at PAX. They could have, announced it in front of everyone. But why did you think that may not have been the best idea, Jeremy?
Oh, you never know with, this is all we do, right? Until these guys announce launch dates or information, we all just sit around the office trying to figure out when the stuff is going to happen because we can't move forward on our next-gen content plans until we have
Our
release
special
dates.
projects.
So I was like, maybe it'll be at the Omegathon. Maybe they'll come out and it'll be, someone has to play Titanfall against each other, or it's Killer Instinct is the last game, and then thinking maybe with the large crowd there that wouldn't always possibly be fans, maybe not have been the best place to release that information.
You get that video out there of them all booing.
Chanting's not the best, So it seemed weird that it was just a simple email. We got the email, woke up to the email a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
No Microsoft Direct.
They had the little video.
Yeah.
With
Yusuf and
I forget the lady's name, but it was just slightly interesting. I still think this whole console generation that's coming is weird. How we're getting less than 12 months of announcements to shipping dates and stuff like that. But I guess, like you said, I think with the internet, like internet sales, social media, and all that other stuff, I think
it all matters.
I think the blitz of advertising we're going to see is probably going to be unlike anything we've ever seen before.
It's
in
ridiculous.
The next,
people have said they've
leading up
already
to
started
launch.
seeing Xbox billboards going up in places.
Yeah,
so,
no, I have.
So it's going to be, and also I think there's not a lot of. They're having to push the consoles this time because there's not a ton of launch games that people are super clamoring for that aren't at least also on other
Cross-platform.
consoles that you currently own. So the marketing's all going to have to be about the consoles, not just about, I'm trying to think of even the exclusive games, Killer Instinct for, Xbox or Killzone or Knack. It's like they're going to have to push consoles and the future of what the consoles could do.
Yeah, there isn't the definite day one buy game quite yet for either
I mean,
console.
I'm sure Microsoft's
Exclusive.
sad that Titanfall's
2014.
not available at launch because they would be much happier there.
And that's going to be on 360.
Yep.
And I know we've talked about the Watch Dogs difference already, but I think that's one game that people should probably hold out for the next
It's all
gen
about
consoles.
Peggle 2.
Peggle 2. Unicorns.
Crazy.
Wearing
unicorn.
Geordie LaForge eyeglass wear. But you guys went to PAX. I think probably one of the biggest things that came out of it, site-wise, was the Dragon Age stuff. Did you get to see it too, or no?
A little bit, yeah. I was kind of reading up on it.
So,
PAX is,
my Dragon Age interest-
scattershot.
With the exception of Miguel Lopez, rest in peace. My Dragon Age interest was Origins was pretty cool. 2, I wasn't so keen on, but like, what's the thoughts on 3? Is the BioWare magic there?
I mean, it did look really good, but what they were showing us was, again, they kept doing their usual like marketing talk that we have all these things in there, but they were showing only us a little bit of a taste of that. Yep. They weren't giving us like the full picture, but at PAX with that demo, it's kind of impossible for that type of game to do that. But it did. I got a better vibe from it just seeing what I saw there, and again, it looked really good visually, like very visually impressive.
But... Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. It's like trying to get a RPG or MMO demo under 20 minutes, and you're like, oh yeah, I've totally understand the whole game. No. Yeah, like I spend that much time, as long as they showed the demo I spend that much time just designing my character in that game. Exactly. So it's like, it's so hard to get a quick look. And with also playing those games, because I think that one of the big complaints for 2 was how it controlled, and people hated how kind of simplified it was.
The console-centric.
So without getting hands-on with it, it's hard to tell. But I've always loved the BioWare games, and I like the Dragon Age universe. I didn't think 2 was as terrible as people thought it was.
I don't think it's a bad game.
I thought the story stuff was interesting. It just the game got a little repetitive. I actually liked some of the combat upgrades. And how smooth it played, but it could have been more challenging if you're going to make combat easier.
Can I ask, do you think it's the pendulum swinging back towards being a little more traditional BioWare, or is it the new BioWare that made Dragon Age 2? And we like Mass Effect, but it's obviously was very much more Twitch based and whatnot.
No, I mean, even in their in their answers and stuff, they just kept mentioning Origins, Dragon Age Origins this, Dragon Age Origins that. Like, I think they're just. I mean, they might just be trying to say the right thing to appease the fan base after their perceived criticism to Dragon Age 2, but they're giving the impression that they're definitely trying to be more like original Dragon Age than this kind of new school BioWare that was doing well for a while, but then I think people just got a little either tired or upset or started to see through some of the cracks of their tricks that they kept doing over and over again.
And it's gonna I know they said that they announced the thing last week where your story carries over from the other games, but that's like a standalone piece of software. Like, what was it? Like the wall or It was I was like, how is that going to work? It seems interesting. I'm always
because because it's going to be in the new system. Yeah,
so
they have to find a way to do that.
Save now.
Well, I mean, probably like what they did with Wii U system transfer. There's a way to do something like that. You probably have to download something on both your systems and then transfer it or something like that.
So you see, I know you saw Batman and stuff like that. Anything else really jump out at you? Did you get to talk to Sonic Team?
It was the U.S. marketing and PR people. They just all call themselves Sonic Team. We thought that we were going to get to interview Sonic Team like the Japanese developers of Sonic, but it turned out to be
anyone that works on Sonic.
Anyone who works on Sonic.
The guy making the plush toys is part of Sonic Team.
No, what's his name? His name Aaron, I think Weber is his name. Like, he's always, every time I go to something with Sonic, like, it's always him.
Is he a shorter guy with glasses?
Yes, he goes.
Yeah, no, he's great.
He
was like a community guy, I think, and now he's
he's like associate brand manager or something.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, he got a promotion. But yeah, I always see that guy, and he's really good at Sonic and really knows it inside out. So he's a really good speaker too. So his walkthroughs are always really entertaining to listen to.
Was there new stuff for Sonic Lost World?
It was that snow level. It looked like they kept using the term Super Monkey Ball because that's their property, but it literally looked like a Super Mario Galaxy level. So I was just like, can you guys just not say Super Mario Galaxy? No, even though it's a Wii U exclusive right now, they're like,
How about Super Mario Brothers SMB, Super Monkey Ball SMB? They should just use the acronym.
It was like the level where where Mario gets on top of a ball and
massive. I don't know.
Super Meat Boy too.
Super Meat Boy. Geez, so many SMBs.
I think Super Meat Boy was on purpose for that.
Oh yeah, they definitely were doing that.
But you see anything else cool that really jumped out?
I'm trying not to mention Titanfall since that's been said to death.
Titanfall.
We can get to that.
Titanfall
there's a lot of good indie stuff there.
Oh yeah.
And that's actually a good discussion to have maybe about the pushback from PAX has become so AAA focused that it feels like indies being pushed to the corner. Like they literally the indie mega booth is in its own
but
corner.
Last year indies were on a separate floor.
They have a separate floor.
So now at least they're on the floor with everything else.
It feels a little bit, not quite to the extent of what happened with Comic-Con, where comics and with the original stuff's kind of get like pushed to the side and focus on what it's just.
Are you saying indie games are back issues?
What?
Are you saying indie games are like back issues?
Like yeah. I mean, that's how it feels like it's being treated there. I get a little bit of that vibe that there is a little bit of resentment from some of the people there that it has become so AAA focused.
I mean, I never walked through the indie spot and it wasn't full.
Oh,
so it's like you could say that, but it's not like they were actually losing people going by. And there was stuff, in both halls, like Transistor and Supergiant was over by PopCap and the other hall right by Oculus Rift, and then you had
the 6th floor at the PAX 10.
You had PAX 10 around. I mean, it's like...
Well, I think indie game is also becoming a more vague term.
Yeah, like
I know in Kyle's PCS is like, what makes an indie game? And the person's like, if you call yourself an indie developer, you can still here. Because I mean, like, the what you said it, you just said it.
Supergiant.
Yeah, Transistor, right? Yeah. It's like that's a small team, but like Bastion sold millions and millions of copies. Does that? Whatever. We've talked about this before when Rob was on. The definition is, it's like saying alternative music in the 90s. Like,
you know what I like? Games.
Games. I like board games. I like games too.
So yeah, Transistor. We could start there. I could hold off my Left for Timefall for another 45 seconds.
Did you guys play Transistor?
I did.
Oh, I'm actually curious. Tell me.
I got a little bit of time. I was running around the floor, and there was a giant line, but they had like this tiny little back corner that was in the dark that you were able to put the big giant headphones on and sit there and play and really just kind of soak up the game. It's a game. I mean, have you played it at all?
I've not played it.
At E3.
I mean, the music's fucking ridiculous. I love it.
And the sword is the same as the narrator, right?
Right.
So it's funny how they're kind of like recycling some ideas, but it looks completely different. But it also looks so similar, that kind of quasi-isometric.
Yeah, and you're able to the big mechanic is able to pause the game and set up your move for the next couple. I only played to this little first boss area because I was like, I don't actually want to see any more. The game is so enjoyable that I had to cut myself off because it feels like something that I just want to be surprised by every step of the way. Really though, the music is incredible. Darren Korb, who did the music from the Bastion, is back, and there's this soundtrack. You're an opera singer, you've lost your voice, so she's kind of singing the soundtrack to you, and it's amazing.
Interesting.
They did a live performance on Sunday at PAX that I was really angry that I didn't go to.
They also had the other one I saw getting a lot of attention in the Mega Booth was Crypt of the Necrodancer, because for those who don't know what that is, it's basically a throwback to 16-bit RPG and dungeon crawler, but it's procedurally generated, so it's random.
So it's kind of roguey?
Yes, very much like that. But the hook is you're supposed to play with a DDR dance pad. So, but
Chris,
you can only move. No, Chris tried it out. Yeah, our camera guy Chris, he really seemed to enjoy it. You can only move in with the rhythm, so you have to move in beat, and you can only attack.
Can you play it on a LCD screen, or does it have adjustments for lag?
I'm going to guess it is because it was running on a PC there, so I'm sure they could.
Interesting. Okay, just thinking about
I mean,
that.
you could play with a regular controller or keyboard, but the hook is you want to play it with the dance pad. And it was just this looks really easy and stuff. But yeah, it seemed like a lot of people were having fun with that, and it looked really fun. So
there's also Super Time Force, which from Cappy, just a ridiculous concept of a game. The characters are all hilarious. It's super hard.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games that makes me embarrassed to play in front of the developers.
What's the Ouya game that everyone was talking about? The 4-player with the arrows.
Towerfall?
Maybe. Is it kind of like that though? It's really quick-lived, short.
No, the whole idea is you're playing through. It's kind of like Contra level of madness, and you're playing through. And if you die, it rewinds back 10 seconds or whatever, and then you get to select a second character to come in. So your ghost is playing and clearing for you, and you have a second character, and that character dies, and you keep pulling in all these random characters. There's a mini poop monster. There's of course. What else was there? A dinosaur on a skateboard. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. So
great trailers for that game.
We've got a demo or a little bit of new footage for that in next Thursday night's GTTV as well.
Oh, cool. Well, let's talk about Titanfall. Did anyone play it or?
Yes, I played it. That
What'd
was
you
what I did with on Friday Friday was the first day they let media in for that 1 hour early.
What do you think?
So I don't know if anyone
Believe the hype?
follows me on when I talk on Invisible Walls about shooters, but I have this disdain for modern first person shooters. I haven't really liked a shooter since I enjoyed the original Halo and Halo 2, but I mostly liked GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. Those are the last, and all old PC first person shooters. Those are the ones I liked.
I think I like where you're going with
so
this.
once the 2000s rolled around and the PS2 and GameCube came around, I started disliking first person shooters. But I was reluctant with Titanfall because I just, given Infinity Ward's pedigree, Call of Duty, is this really just going to be another kind of Call of Duty clone? What is it going to be like? And I will say that demo, I had a lot of fun playing that. And as a person who does not really play a lot of modern first-person shooters at all, especially the competitive or multiplayer component of it, it was really easy to get into and follow, and I had a lot of fun. And just that the Titan, the mech aspect of it, once I got into that and was playing around with that I like the old Mech Warrior games, and getting kind of that feel. It wasn't as deep deep as that, but just tapping into that feeling again. I had a lot of fun playing that game.
I love that the mechs are fast.
Yes,
though. I like they're not these
plotting.
Yes, the dash, you push the button, you push whatever the jump button is the dash button. So you dash around. I'm okay.
You see a bunch of guys in front of you, just dash through them and kill them all.
Yeah, I was getting this is maybe first person virtual on right now, going around, and then just when you're out of the Titan, just the platforming, being able to it's such a vertical game. I was really enjoying that, running up on the buildings, doing the parkour and platforming, and just getting into a position to shoot people. It's all right, it feels like I can go almost anywhere in this map. I'm not constrained to the ground. I'm not constrained to corridors.
Well, it's also interesting. Yeah. It feels like two separate maps because when you're in the Titan, you can't get through certain areas, and you have to go all the way around, and then all of a sudden, you get blown out of your Titan, and you're great, I'm going to jump through that window, wall dash off of that, hop over on top of that building. That's what I'm curious,
is the kind of the vertical parkour stuff, that's kind of easy to adapt to?
Yeah.
Yes, and
you know where you're going, and stuff like that?
I mean, it takes a second, but it's not... I'd say within 2 or 3 tries, you're able to do it.
Yes,
it's around that.
It's kind of it's close to that, but I feel that Titanfall's being more forgiving and generous, in that you just have to be kind of close to something, and for grabbing onto a ledge, if you're remotely close to it, it'll just grab and auto pull you up.
It's not a parkour game. It's not like a game. It adds that element into a shooter. It's not the focus.
It doesn't. You're not going to
look for that critical path.
Yeah,
yes.
It's not what is it? Dying Light. The zombie game,
where
you're having to actually jump onto stuff and
grab. Did you guys see a new demo for that too?
Yes, I mean it's the same feel of
is that pretty parkour then?
Yes,
wow.
that frantic feel of having to run around, but it doesn't feel as involved as Dying Light or even anywhere remotely close to Mirror's Edge. Although you get that similar sense of
Well, I'd say with Titanfall, I'm like you. I play shooters, don't love them. I'll jump in with Rohan. He makes fun of me because I'm terrible. Okay. I get shot in the back 40 times, and then I'm okay, I'm done. That's my 12 minutes with Call of Duty or Battlefield or whatever it is. And this game, once you get the hang of it, it doesn't feel like your traditional shooter.
Can I ask
I got level 9 on Saturday.
Really?
Went back and played a couple times.
Can I ask a question? It's just something that's been interesting to me. Is there are AI characters, right?
I think that's part of the fun.
How does that actually factor into when you're playing? Is it obvious who's AI and who's not?
It's very obvious because when you float over them, they're not.
But they still give you
they
XP
don't have names, and
whatnot?
they give you minimal XP. I think it's 25 points a kill.
Okay.
And that just helps kind of keep that streak going. The quicker you do kills, the more kills you get, the quicker your Titan is able to spawn. Mm-hmm. So you could call them in, and you start stringing stuff together. And then even when you it's also a lot of times, you're oh, okay, I got the cool ultimate weapon. I have this Titan, and then you get killed, and you're get really disappointed. With this game, you just start tapping on that X button, eject out, and make sure you land on that Titan that killed you, rip off the back shield and take him out, and you're okay, that was great. I'm not sad that I lost my Titan at all because I had a lot of fun.
That's interesting. And so the kind of the XP growth is what lets you call in a Titan, but is there any other so that's a kill streak. Is there any sort of currency, or is it just kind of XP?
I don't know.
Titan?
They haven't really done much yet. There was 3 different soldier builds, and a couple different Titan builds, but they didn't really let you modify much.
Curious. I'm definitely interested in Titanfall. I'm glad you liked it.
And we get
that's
to
a
hear
pretty good.
And we get to hear Abby all the time.
Oh right, she's doing the voice.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it was a good demo. Now, whether that carries over to like a full game experience is a different story. But for a demo, that was a really good demo to have. So
awesome. Any final PAX thoughts?
I'm trying to think what else I saw.
How many Cheez-Its did you go through?
17 pounds at
Holy
150.
Really, 17 pounds
of Cheez-Its.
What does TSA think about you?
So I guess I should explain the Cheez-It story. As everyone maybe knows, I cook a lot, and I have developed a obsession with homemade Cheez-Its, and the game industry seems to like them. So I took 17 pounds of homemade Cheez-Its to Seattle.
What is the going rate for an ounce of that stuff?
People were bidding, and we were at the bar, and they're like, "Come on, I won't name the executive, but there were Microsoft and or Sony executives asking to trade for pounds of Cheez-Its for consoles this fall."
I actually saw you run through the Destructoid panel to deliver that.
I crashed the panel. I had like 2 pounds left, and I was like, okay, I got to go get on my flight. And someone from Destructoid was like, I'm stuck in my panel. And I was like, oh, I'm walking by. Just interrupt the panel, dropped off Cheez-Its, ran. So, yeah, there's a lot of Cheez-Its.
And for anyone who didn't make it to PAX, like obviously we bring all the game coverage, but sometimes it's a little harder to kind of represent the culture. But we did a cool little video called like 9 Reasons We Love PAX or something, and it's pretty worth checking out.
It was some of my personal photos, some stuff I shot
Google
on glass,
and then some stuff the camera guys
and some just
shot.
B-roll we shot, and it was a little, just a look at kind of why PAX is fun.
Yeah, awesome.
We should have included Cheez-Its, but we thought it was 2 inside.
Yeah.
Now we could have.
Cheez-Its. Welcome back. Jeremy Hoffman has left us to go do some GTTV, and we have Daniel Bloodworth joining us.
Hey,
He's
hey.
very tall. I don't know if you can tell while he's sitting down or not.
I'm slouching. If I sat up, it'd be like this.
Yeah, Marco always says we have bad posture. I was just going to talk briefly about Outlast, and we have Amnesia coming right around the corner too. So
Nice.
all the kind of good horror, or assumably good horror games are coming out.
It's hard for me not
Halloween.
to mix it up with Outland. It's kind of
Well, then there's like
naming.
Dying Light and
Oh, Deadlight.
Deadlight
Yeah.
and
Or Daylight.
Daylight and
Yeah, I'm
There's
pretty
a-
sure there's a Deadlight somewhere.
there's a lot of similar names. I'm actually still not entirely sure why Outlast is called Outlast, but this is the first-person game where you are in a insane asylum. Everything's crazy. You get chased a lot. You have a camcorder and you can record things. Turn on your night vision gives you an advantage because you can see in the dark, and the majority of your assailants can't.
Do you have to worry about battery?
Yeah, there's a kind of a small resource management, but after the initial 5 minutes, I never had problems with batteries. You can have a max of 10 batteries. I've never dropped below 5. You start with 2.
It's camera batteries. That's
if you-
pretty impressive.
If you die... Oh, but you can record normally forever. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. If you die, I'm pretty sure they give your battery a full charge. So, like, you're never completely... You can kind of always limp to the next checkpoint, I'm pretty sure. Game starts... I'm not going to super rehash my review. Game starts really strong and finishes strong, but not as strong as it starts. I think kind of in a post-Amnesia, the original Amnesia Dark Descent world, it definitely borrows a lot from that. I still would swear up and down that Amnesia is the best survival horror game I've ever played. I haven't played Shattered Memories yet, and I still have a real soft spot for the first Silent Hill, even with its story being a little more incoherent than maybe Silent Hill 2 in that kind of psychological way, and more kind of loose-knit horror that kind of interweaves some sort of quasi-concrete tale that you're supposed to kind of go through, and as babies try to kill you in elementary schools. But the one thing I kind of wanted to talk about, and I didn't get to really go into detail about it in the review per se, is the game it's a first person, and you are ridiculously present in the game. Like your hands, when you're crawling, you can see your hands. Everything you pick up, your camcorder, and I really think that kind of thing actually adds a lot of value to the game in this sort of way. With we were talking about BioShock Infinite, how you grab all this stuff in BioShock Infinite, but you never see your hands. But yet, like early in the game, you're always looking at your plasmids on your hand, vigors in your hands, and there is a kind of a weird disconnect. And it's something that maybe as we go forward in
Well,
in
I
this sort
even
of thing.
I even thought The Last of Us was weird when you picked up things because you just kind of had that strange animation.
We talked about that in.
I was like, how do they have a weird animation from Naughty Dog?
Well, supposedly we were told by one of the developers afterwards you can just press triangle and you'll pick it all up in one go.
Right.
So maybe that's the pro trick. But I was really impressed. Like you can look down, see your legs when you crawl.
Seeing your legs is a big deal.
Even the camcorder. There's like when you're the game is we're talking about parkour earlier. The game actually is very It has a lot of parkour mechanics, even if the parkour is not overly part of it. There's running, there's jumping, there's mantling, there's climbing, there's sidling, there's crawling on ledges. You do a lot of things that you'd expect. I mean, there's still some bullshit where it's like there's like some boxes and I'm pretty sure I could push these aside and get through. But it's like I think any game where you see your hands on the ladder, if you're gonna go that far when you climb a ladder, you should probably kind of start implementing that. And it's just something I wanted to give the game some accolades for that. I didn't feel like I could have not wasted. I thought it wasn't quite the appropriate forum in the review to kind of call it out explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious. I mean, from a first person, you guys play first person games. I mean, do you think that's important, or is that just a little garnish on the top?
I mean, I don't know if I as much consciously know that. I'm sure it helps subconsciously to see that, like, the old, like, rule, like, as long as things are doing their job and you don't notice them, it's a good experience. Like, it's when you can tell that stuff that, like, it takes away from what you're playing. So I can only imagine that, like, it helps you make the world more believable. But honestly, if it as long as it doesn't impede my like judgment, like depth perception, or like you trying to like grab something, if you see the hands, it actually helps you tell like how far away that object is, if that actually matters, that I can tell. But when it's just for that immersion factor, it's a nice touch, but I don't know if it necessarily like personally I absolutely need that. But I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I think it's valid.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like especially in a game that's more about like horror or atmosphere, like, I mean, other games like Metro or Metroid Prime, those touches to like make first person seem like you're more than just a mouse moving a camera.
Do you remember? It seems so funny now, but I mean, I'm thinking back to like 2002 or whatever. Like there were huge blog posts, and I don't know if the word blog was quite used then, but huge news posts about just seeing Samus's reflection in the visor.
Yeah.
That was news back in the day. And it was news I gobbled up. I mean, now it'd be like, oh, these are little nice touches. I think we really are advancing in these kind of nice accoutrements that kind of do flesh out experiences a bit more, for sure. And I just wanted to kind of highlight that. I think, this is a good place to maybe sometimes talk about a side topic that doesn't necessarily have some place to go. And Daniel, this is an awkward segue. So from the naked psychotics of Outlast to the limbless wonders of Rayman and the no strings attached puppeteers.
Yeah.
They're kind of a new. I remember we had this conversation years ago where we were like, oh my god, 2D platformers are coming back.
Right.
Now it's like, yeah, they are back and here to stay. But I do think there is kind of a sort of a new breed. I did review the original Rayman Origins.
Yeah.
And I deeply enjoyed it, but I did still, I think I gave it an 8.5 or whatever. But I feel like they did actually kind of embrace some new stuff here with the Murphy character, even on the 360, or sorry, on the non-Wii U versions, right?
Right.
Is there anything you kind of want to like nail home that you didn't really get to express in your review?
I think, well, it's funny, like, playing both of these games back to back, because in some ways, like, I've almost felt like I was repeating myself, because they're both so creative in their art styles, and this is the kind of thing I've been, like, just pining for a while, just even in terms of 3D movies. It's like there's so many things that look the same, and, like, there's this huge palette available to developers to try other things, and there's just so much thought and creativity put into the backgrounds and little touches and funny things that, like, oh yeah, if you look, you'll see a lot of things there, and that's true of both games, even though their art styles are wildly different. Rayman is a very two-dimensional hand-drawn look, while Puppeteer looks like it's actually built out of little wooden puppets.
Oh, that's great.
But
They're both long games too, right?
yeah, they're
For
both
platform.
Yeah, they're both, I forget like how long Rayman is altogether, but Puppeteer is around 10 hours long, and it's only $40. Rayman's got a little bit more replay value in it because they've brought back Origins levels and put new things in there to collect, and they also have the challenge apps that people have been addicted to on the Wii U for a while already. So that's pretty fun. Just kind of test your reflexes and go against the leaderboards and try to get up to that gold or platinum trophy for the day.
And then Mike, I know you are an old school platforming fan.
Yeah.
Like, what speaks to you these days? I mean, do you want a more traditional thing? Are you backing not quite a platformer, but are you backing the new Inafune Kickstarter? I mean, like, what draws you out for 2D platforming at this point?
I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I should really play the new Rayman game.
Yeah.
Did you play Origins?
I played a bit of it. I know I played one of them, maybe both of them, at E3 at one point for the demos. I know I had a good time playing them, and I know if I just like sat myself down and actually like just made myself play them, I would like really enjoy those types of games. I think just nowadays I'm just like so busy and stuff. Like,
you got a dual class in Final Fantasy Realm Reborn, right?
oh, yes, we could talk about Final Fantasy all day. No, I mean I'm still gravitating more towards 2D platformers. I'd like to see more of those. That's why, like, we were talking about PAX earlier. I was like walking around to see like if there's any more like indie 2D platformers coming around. The only thing, and I do like a little bit of like action mixed in, like the old like platforming shooting. The only thing that I saw there that I actually got hands on with, it wasn't even remotely like that, was Angry Video Game Nerds game.
Oh, is it good?
I actually enjoyed it. I mean, they know what they're doing with that game.
Did you get to take a diarrhea dump?
No, I got to. They had an
Messing it up.
NPC called Nagi, a play on Navi,
Uh-huh.
who tries to like give
Okay.
you hints, and you get like pissed off, and then you get to kill it later on.
Oh, funny.
But
No, Puppeteer has a fairy companion as well, who is
Oh.
constantly talking.
can you
no.
cut it?
What's that?
Can you cut it up with scissors?
No,
No.
it's one of those weird things because it's you as a single player, you control her with the right analog stick, and then you're like
Okay.
kind of tapping at the background to find secrets, like little gems will pop out, or you might find new heads or things. And it can be, it's one of those things that actually kind of gets in the way of the flow a little bit. If you're playing by yourself, because you're constantly feeling the need to stop and look for things.
Okay.
Whereas I played a level with Kyle yesterday.
Kyle Bossman?
Yes,
Whoa.
Kyle Bossman. We just got 10,000 views right there. um, but with him controlling the fairy and me going through doing the normal platforming stuff, it was a little bit more fun because like he was able to focus on looking for things, and then he could also do some things that you can't do as a single player, like picking up gems and bringing you items and things like that. Well, and and in that way you're just able to keep going through the level without like, okay, go here, stop, poke around, go here, stop, poke around. It's like you're both doing your own thing at the same time.
I really hate when, and especially in platformers, when you get interruptions within the gameplay, the natural flow. That sounds like it's just like another mechanic that they're wanting you to like. It's breaking up kind of like the pacing. Something I feel that's like more intrusive was like in the recent DuckTales remastered.
I knew you were gonna say
The cutscenes.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Thank you for like going and getting the original voice cast, for even trying to
They have
do
to
a story.
resurrect the guy who does.
But when
Scrooge
I'm going
McDuck's
through the moon
voice.
stage for the first time, and I like the music's going, and I go like 5 feet, and you interrupt me with a cutscene that kills the music, lengthy dialogue. Thankfully, you can skip that stuff. Like that's the type of crap like I cannot. That just turns me off to like wanting to play that game
There are a
anymore.
few too many cutscenes in Puppeteer, but they generally are bookending a level. So you'll have like a long introductory cutscene, and then as you're going through the level, you'll hear dialogue. Like actually, your companion will sometimes argue with the narrator. Fun things like that. They break the fourth wall pretty often because there is an audience there. And one of the nice little touches is that with surround sound, like you hear the audience in the back speakers.
That's cool.
Sometimes I'll hear just like a cough off to my left or something.
Yeah, bookending is fine with that, and having like in-game chatter, I don't mind that. It's when you like actually like stop.
There are
everything.
times where like it's that kind of curse of like, oh, if I just play through the level, then I'll cut off a line of dialogue or something, So that balance is a little strange sometimes.
But Puppeteer recommended, huh?
Oh, very much.
Cool.
Yeah. I wish Sony was putting a little bit more behind it. I'm kind of having this pet peeve that, because it's a 2D game that's 10 hours long, it's not as valuable as a third-person shooter.
Well, it literally
that's
isn't.
completely
It's $20 less.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A third-person shooter that might be 6 hours long.
Well, I'm glad that the game's going to be out soon because I'll stop for confusing it with Tearaway for no good reason whatsoever. But I've been
They were both
making
debuted at the same time, I think.
I know, but I've been making that mistake to the point where it's embarrassing. I mean, one's
They both have fabric.
not a Vita game. Yeah. But no, that's cool. I'm glad that the platformers are sticking around and that Rayman ended up being a pleasant experience even on the more traditional Xbox and PlayStation 3. Finally, I know, just to go back to PAX for 4 seconds, how'd the panel go? I didn't get to watch it yet.
It went well. There's your 4 seconds.
There
No,
you
we
heard
had-
it. Panel as well. It was an 11.
We need to do Q&A, like a whole panel worth.
That's what I've been saying.
Like
But
we
that's
cut
a
everything.
separate
We
debate.
did everything a little bit. We were ahead of
Who
schedule.
won the Fire Emblem?
The person who asked the last question.
Oh, cool.
I think that made everyone in the audience who asked questions a little upset, though. Like we should probably have a better.
It was random, though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, but we should maybe have a little bit of a different system to vary it up next time. But
Okay.
definitely, we did 35 minutes of Q&A. We could have done a whole hour of Q&A.
Totally.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. This was this week's episode of Invisible Walls. Marcus Beer will hopefully get better. Some PAX flu, I guess.
Yeah.
Though it didn't seem so bad this year.
Somebody
Not too
will
many
come
people
up
are
with
sick.
some excuse.
but-
Commenters are mean.
Of course. But he will have a show this week, so check it out tomorrow and Saturday. So for Marcus Beer, I'm Ryan Stevens, and this was Invisible Walls.